And it's time now to let it rip. We are here with Michigan State Senator Rick Jones.
Next to him is Steve Gursten from Michigan Auto Law. And you, of course, are talking about the conversation that has a lot of people speeding to their TVs and their laptops and their phones to talk about this one, right?
That's right. I want to know, Senator, I tell you what, 80 miles an hour, if people are driving 80 now, you're going to make it 80. People are going to drive 90, maybe 100.
Well, guess what? This whole proposal isn't about going to 80. This proposal is about getting rid of speed traps in the cities where people are ripping you off. Now, there were some in the media that said, oh, you're going to let the state police scientifically set the speed limits. They'll probably go to 80. I don't favor that. I'd lock them in at 75. But where you're getting ripped off are in the city streets where they post them at 25 when they should be 35 or 40, and they write ticket after ticket.
You know what? I'm voting for you. I had as one of my questions here. Eliminate speed traps. The cities can't get any money. Oh my gosh, this is great. I love it.
The argument that many people have, and Steve Gursten, perhaps you'd be one of the people who is a proponent of this argument, is wait a minute here. We're talking about raising the speed limit, which raises the rate of recklessness on the road. Some people are already, they're texting and driving. They're driving with their knees, putting their makeup on. I don't trust them at 70. How in God's name are you going to do this at 80?
Yeah, you know, there was a study that came out that said cell phones and texting and driving are responsible for about 1 out of every 4 car accidents now. And we're talking about increasing speed limits at the exact same time that you have more distracted driving than ever before. And you know, my biggest problem with this is it sounds like a great idea in theory, but we know how this story ends. Because what happened was when Michigan in 1987, when we increased the speed limits from 55 miles an hour to 65 miles an hour, guess what? The University of Michigan did a major study. And you know what they found? They found that death rates skyrocketed 19%. They found that serious injuries increased 39%. And this doesn't just affect people on rural freeways, because the most important thing about that study was that there was a major spillover effect that actually shows that there's an increase in speeding, accidents, and injuries, even on roads where speeds are not increased. So this affects everybody.
When was that study done?
That was done by the University of Michigan, and I want to say it was published in 1989.
89. That was before Roop was born.
That was before texting and driving
cars
too.
Are better, roads are better, and people are driving faster anyway.
But Charlie, drivers are not better. We know that for a fact. We know that more people on the roads who drive today seem like they don't have a clue. Have you been on the roads, Charlie?
I have.
I mean, come on. You're going out to the news stories in the WWJ van, in the Fox 2 truck, and you watch people, and because we have the luxury of sometimes being in the passenger seat, Senator, with all due respect, you see them driving, and their eyes are not on the road.
Well, let's talk about the real studies, the ones that really work.
The ones that you like?
The state police, the Michigan State Police have studied speed zones for 40 years, and they get the same results every time. If you set the speeds based on the 85 percentile, you will have the proper speed. Let me tell you about a road I found in East Lansing. This scientifically, it should have been posted at 37, so that would have been 35 would have been the speed, but East Lansing kept it at 25. And for 5 years, you know what they made? $1 million in tickets. I want to put it in.
Senator, is there not a difference between talking about a speed trap situation of 25 and 30 and talking about a speed at which you can lose your life going upwards of 80 miles an hour? Because let's face it, people are going to go more than 80. Is there not a difference between those two situations?
Again, I'm not trying to make speed limits 80. What happened is when this proposal came out, there were a few people that said, oh, the state police can set the highways at 80. I would favor capping them at 75. But what all the studies have shown for 40 years is if you appropriately set the speed scientifically, you have less accidents. The traffic flows together. It flows
Steve,
properly.
You disagree with that.
I do. Look, you know, let's just be honest here. You know, so when you're speeding, when you're going 80 miles an hour, you're going over 120 feet per second, and two things happen, okay? The first is that critical safety cushion that allows you to perceive and to react and to prevent an accident disappears. Because by the time you look up, if you're texting and you see a car stopped in front of you, guess what? You've already traveled the distance of a football field before you can even take any evasive action. And the second thing that happens is we know, because it's physics, that speed kills, and trucks, which is the other part of this, because he wants to increase the speed limit for trucks annihilate. So, you know, not only do you lose that critical safety speed cushion, but the resulting crashes are going to be far worse.
It's kind of funny that you were with the trial lawyers. You you represent injured people in accidents. I would think the insurance company would be against this, and you are aligning yourselves now with the insurance company. I'm missing this.
And most of the studies, by the way, have come from the insurance industry. The University of Michigan was a seminal study because it talked about the spillover effect. But most of these studies come from the Insurance Institute of Highway Safety. They all say the same thing. It's the same things we learned when we were in driver's ed. Speed kills, and again, this is my problem. Why are we talking about increasing speed limits when we have an epidemic of texting and driving and more people driving distracted than ever before?
Senator, are you claiming that there is an economic impact because now trucks, for example, can go faster?
Let me tell you why the insurance companies want it kept the same. Because if you artificially set speed traps too low, you get a ticket. What does the insurance company do to you? They raise your rates for 3 years. That's what's really happening. Come on, people, let's stop speed traps in Michigan.
And again, a lot of people are sitting here watching this going, why is this lawmaker talking about this when we should talk about fixing the darn roads regardless of how fast you go? Why is this such a priority for the lead sponsor and also those who are in the legislature right now when there are other more pressing issues like fixing the roads?
I voted to fix the roads. But this proposal scientifically proves that we can have safer roadways. I'm focusing on city streets, on rural highways. I don't want it to go to 80. I'd be happy to cap it at 75. Yeah. He's fixating on 80, so let's get off that. Let's talk about fixing
How about increasing it?
How about keeping no more speed traps in Michigan?
Look,
we have caught mayors doing this all over the state.
See,
speeding?
The problem is, the senator wants to talk about speed traps because it's politically unpopular, and I get it, but I'm talking about saving lives. And, like I said, we know how this story ends. We know that way more people are going to be killed. We know way more people are going to be seriously injured. And you know what? It might be politically popular to talk about reducing speed traps, but it's a really bad, dangerous idea, and I just don't know why we have to do it now.
It seems to me that if people are driving 80 now anyway, most people do drive 80 on the highways. I don't know how. So let's eliminate the speed traps, let's eliminate the tickets, and let people drive so they're not criminals at this point in time.
So what happens when they start driving 90?
Listen, this is a bad topic for me because the Autobahn.
Careful, you're a lawyer. I have a duty to report you.
Actually, don't tell.
I have to be careful about this.
I wanted to ask
I don't like any speed limit.
What about this?
Unsafe at any speed.
I think people who, and this is perhaps something that you guys have talked about in all the work that you've been doing, but I mean, excessively slow drivers, are they not as much of a danger?
Absolutely.
And that is an issue
worse.
too,
yes.
right?
They're worse.
Yes.
They are
That's
worse.
something you guys, you two of you can agree on.
Yeah, absolutely.
They mess up the flow of traffic. They cause the accidents.
And the studies do support the senator on that point.
Slow drivers are bad. I agree with Sly. I hate slow drivers. It's bad. Get out of my way. But here's the deal. This is not a stupid question. Well, maybe it's a stupid question. But if we fix the roads, can we fix roads so that they become safer at 80 miles an hour, for example?
I have voted over and over and over to fix the roads. We're waiting for a House vote. Right. It's going to get there. But there are nice roads out there. I came today from Lansing down here, I-96. It was beautiful.
How long did it take you to get here, Senator? That's okay.
Hour and 20 minutes.
Let's do the math. Do the math.
Yeah, if you do the time speed distance analysis, we think someone was speeding over 70 miles an hour on their way here, right?
Right. He was going his 75 is what he was doing.
Hour and 20 minutes.
But if we fix the roads to make them safer to drive 80, Steve, would you be okay with that?
No.
Oh.
No. Look, right now, we truly have an epidemic of texting and driving. Drive home from work today and look to your left and look to your right and see how many people are using their cell phones or are texting. And the problem I have is it's simple physics, okay? People who support increasing the speed limits, what they're really doing is they're playing a little bit of Russian roulette. Because they're saying that I'm betting that it's not going to be me or my family or someone I love that's going to be in the car in front of the person who is texting, so that when they look up and they're going 120 feet per second and they now lose that safety cushion and they're slamming into someone.
Are there any laws in the books that you guys are trying to draw up that could help with this texting and driving epidemic? Because I think that seems to be more. It is illegal.
But,
I mean, Troy, individual
former
municipalities have done things that have been.
He's a cop.
I'm a former sheriff, 31 years on the street.
Yep.
Okay, we can hammer the people that are texting. I don't have any problem with that. What's killing people in Michigan? Drunk driving, drugged driving, and
a lot of texting.
Senator Rick Jones, Steve Gursten,
yep.
thank you so much. This conversation is not over. It's not over because we want you to weigh in on this. Use the hashtag LetItRipWeekend. You may see your comments on the air at the end of the show.